Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Welcome to the JB Show live. We're going to have a special Q&A. Hello Holly, David. Welcome. So so nice to have you guys. You guys are always like the first ones in. My goodness. The loyalty of it all. You guys are amazing. Thank you. So, if you guys would like to start asking questions, that's perfectly fine. And I will get to them. And that's pretty much what I'll be doing today. It's not going to be anything over the top and special. Just making sure everything's off, so I don't have what you call any noise to be distracting. Hi, Trent. I love you guys' show and have just started watching. I want to say I too hate T. You hate TYT and have a lot of critique of the ilk. However, I can't stand Jimmy Dore. I want to understand, and that's fair. Um, there's certain people who we may even have like 65, 70% of what we agree on, but it's just their personality may be grating to us, or they may have some takes that we just don't agree with, and that's fine. Um, and I'm referring to Jimmy Dore, not TYT. TYT, I don't want to necessarily get into all the drama between what's going on with them and Jimmy Dore and Aaron Mate and all that. I to me that is a distraction because my main enemy is in front of me, and it's in front of me every single day. It's in front of me when I'm threatened with payday loans and, people trying to, request money from me because I had to borrow because I was broke and I was desperate. Every single time I get, a medical bill in the mail, I have tons of them. Every single time I'm confronted with, the threat of not being able to pay for my housing or seeing homeless people on the street. So basically, what I'm saying is capitalism is my primary enemy. And so I'm not taking my focus off of that. So, yeah. Um, wow, you guys are really pouring in. Okay. So thank you for that, Trent. I really appreciate it. Let me see. Hey, Jay. Thanks, David. Oh, Holly, thank you so much. You know, the thing about that stream yesterday and what I enjoyed the most was there was so many brilliant takes um, from the panel, and you know, I think that we should do that every year. It should be just an annual thing, and I would love to be back on that same panel because Sabrina put it together, and it was a very smart idea because we have to center ourselves and focus on what does that really mean. What does it mean for those of us who are black, who are African descendants of slaves, and how we can use it to educate and push forward the policies that would make a holiday like Juneteenth something that really has weight to it. Because the weight that it has is still kind of light. Because if you look at the 13th Amendment, it still allows provisions for slavery for people who are incarcerated. So it really doesn't have the shine that it should because of that bill that needs to be amended. That yeah, that amendment that needs to be amended, I should say. Um, Where Pilgrim, hi, how's it going? Welcome. I hope you brought a snack. Let me see. Where do you stand? Let's see. David asked. Let me put this on screen just to make sure people can see it too. David Williams asked, "Where do you stand on direct cash reparations to African descendants of slaves?" Okay, so I'm going to give a comprehensive, more nuanced answer. Um, in short, I think we should, but I think this should be done after protections are put in place so that the cash reparations that we get are not preyed upon by oppressive forces. And what do I mean by that? A reparations check is great, but I do not want, you know, the what? Gosh, I'm blanking out. What's the name of the word? Goodness, uh, college debt. I don't want it to go towards college debt, so I want that to be relieved. I want the medical debt canceled so that your reparations money doesn't go towards that. I want housing for all, so your reparations money doesn't get sucked up by landlords because God knows if we get a reparations check and a landlord knows you're black, because trust me, they know you're black, they will be raising the rent like hell just so they can get some of that money. Um, so there are a few things that I want in place because I believe that a reparations check should be number one, something that can be intergenerational. And number two, reparations should be something as far as if we were to get a check, it's not something that uh, is just for survival. That money should be disposable income. That's what it should be. So we should have all these protections as a foundation so that when it, if slash when we do get uh, a reparations for the plight that we've had since, you know, segregation, Jim Crow, Reconstruction, slavery, all that, then we're protected and we can then start passing down that generational wealth, within to our descendants. I hope that makes sense. Um, that was a great question though. And I've been meaning to get to that. Let me see. David Williams, I really don't like Jimmy and TYT is trash. That's fair. Everybody has their opinions, and you know, uh, the best part about independent media is that it's growing so much that there's someone for you other than those two. You know what I mean? Um, and so you can, this is one of the reasons why we on the Fred Hampton left saw a lane that was open, and so we said, you know what? Let's occupy this space because there's only really a couple of people, that was, is Ben Dixon on really on the left? It's debatable. He's becoming more MSNBC light. Um, Tim Black is pretty much one of the only people who occupied this space for I say the last 5 6 years. So, you know, if I'm missing anyone, please correct me. But I don't know of too many others. And if I, and if that's the case. If there are others, then I apologize. I'm still kind of new to this space myself. Um, let me see. Let me see. Trends. I disagree on distraction. I enjoy you guys do it yourself attitude and genuineness and respect the struggle. I just get really annoyed at the narcissism that is in bigger left media, Jimmy Dore included. Unfortunately, this can be a trap that a lot of us can go through. I mean, we're all human. And the thing is that we have to recognize that this is bigger than us because why are we doing this? The reason for the popularity and the reason for like asking for patrons on Patreon or Ko-fi or super chats or anything like that, that's just it's what I think it's supposed to be. It's just something that sets a floor for you to be able to survive while you're doing this so that you can disseminate leftist ideals and let people know what they truly deserve so that when the time comes, and there's always the right time, that they can push for themselves what they absolutely need: healthcare, education, climate, you know, making sure that we have safer neighborhoods without having an occupying military force called the police. Those things, people need to know that there's a different way because they've been propagandized. And that's the main focus because we don't just want people to just know it, but we want it to be in their hearts that they deserve better. And so ultimately, we have to leave our ego at the door, right? This is one of the reasons why I want to hear from all of you because this isn't just an opportunity for you to learn from me, but this is an opportunity for me to learn from you because a lot of things that I've learned from the left were from you. I'm just probably a little bit more comfortable being on camera talking about it than some others, maybe. But I attribute a lot of what I've learned from you. It's, and, sharing with me the information that moved me to the left. And that's something that I recognize and I have to acknowledge and appreciate every single day. Um, where Pilgrim, I suspect the personality clashes in past movements, 60s plus, would manifest in similar ways if they had today's technology. Imagine what it'll be like in the future with realistic VR. Yeah, it's there's always going to be personality clashes. The question is, are do we have the mindset to take that and put that to the side and say, okay, I don't like your style, but on the end results, we agree. So I'm going to put that to the side and I'm going to, you know, work in league with you. And I'm talking about other people on the left. Because if we agree with like 90 to 95% of everything, but it's just a stylistic issue, it's like I'm going to leave that to the side. Like, you know, I'll insult you in my head, but we're going to keep going until we get this finished. And then when we get this finished, then, we can squabble. It's like we'll squabble after we get single payer healthcare. Okay. And even then, after we get single payer healthcare, I'm not done until we have nationalized, but that's just me. Um, David Jones, good afternoon. See, at work, I'm glad. Oh, thanks. You know what? To be honest with you, that's quite, I'm very honored and privileged that, you're taking, time at work in order to listen. So that's awesome. Let's see. I was personally inspired by Michael Brooks' politics to give an idea, but however, my big critique of capitalism is I'm feeling pressure to embrace the capitalist mindset. I got to read that over again. That's kind of a deep question. I was personally inspired by Michael Brooks. I was too, to give an idea. But however, my big critique of capitalism is I'm feeling pressure to embrace the capitalist mindset. That's kind of uh hmm. Um that's kind of difficult. And we're always deprogramming ourselves out of the capitalist mindset. Um Even to the point of when man, this is difficult. Uh Even when you get to the point of how we view certain people, we have to stop thinking of things as a competition. We have to think of things as collaborative. Did I say it correctly? Gosh, I need to take elocution classes. But so having this competitive mindset is part and parcel of a capitalist mindset. Feeling that we have to do better than the next person when really we should be combining forces. So, for instance, this squabbling between different independent media factions really does no good. And I'll go even further saying that the capitalist powers that be actually want this squabble to happen. Why do they want this squabble to happen? Because they do not want to see any unification. And so sometimes what they'll do is they will kind of infiltrate and adulterate one group and make it less on the left than the other. So then it seems like they're working against the interest of the left. And so the left sees it, and it's like we're it's like we're antibodies, and we see like the virus, or we see some of the likeness of the virus in one group, and so we need to attack because we say, "Oh no, they're trying to push us in a completely different direction." And so then this is the case with TYT. It's showing elements of mainstream media, of neoliberal policy. That's what it's showing. And because it's showing that, a lot of us on the left are like, yo, no, 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 no. We don't want you here. And so because they have some of those elements, then we tend to attack. But realizing the grand scheme of things, the capitalist class wanted that to happen. So this is one of the reasons why they saw crack and they said, "Oh, this person says they're a capitalist. Okay, let's offer them money." And then next thing you know, we can influence the shift of said network in order to be more capitalist influenced. And so those of us who are anti-capitalist, we're like, whoa, 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 you changed. You used to be better than that. Or there was a facade there that was anti-capitalist, but then the mask came off and we discovered that they were capitalists. Suffice that to say, what's happening is you have you have a campaign to sow division in the left through means of popular figures. I That's the best way I can put it. Michael Brooks was hyper focused on policy. I mean, did he go for some of the drama and talking about people like Dave Rubin and whatever? Yeah, but it was in jest and it was fun, you know. But he would stick to the larger issue, which is one of the things that I respect the most about him. And so I think this is what we at Fred Hampton Left are also trying to model ourselves after is focus on the big issue. And, I mean, we're human. So when it comes to the things that happen on the left, especially, the drama between people, sometimes it has to be covered. But we want to bring it back to the issues at hand, the ones that affect us in our everyday lives, the things that affect us as far as our job, our healthcare, how we educate our kids, our environment. That's what we need to. And our foreign policy. These are the things that we need to. Um, these are the things that we need to put our focus in on. Uh, hey, Alan Axelrod, 213 Axelrod. He says, my local DSA is in the process of incorporating reparations into our bylaws to practice what we preach. I think all dues funded organizations should do this, but I don't have the means to expand it at the moment. So this is a good thing. So um the policies in many of these, like the PSL, Socialist Alternative, DSA, all these different groups that are on the left, there should be a policy that implements reparations. And I'm not saying that just because I'm an African descendant of slaves. There has to be a reconciliation and restitution to disenfranchised groups that the United States has done things against because it is just. And so, therefore, if you are focused on justice, that should be part of your platform. I don't care if you are an organization or somebody running for office. If you do not have that in your platform to focus on justice, or you're avoiding putting that in your platform because you're afraid to scare other people, then you're allowing the opinions of wrong people to influence your sense of justice. And if you feel that reparations, by the way, the name reparations, the root word in it is repair, which it means giving justice to the people who you wronged. If you're allowing other groups or other people or parties to prevent you from doing that, then there's something wrong there because you're allowing your sense of justice to be skewed versus it should be this is the ethical position and this is what we're going to stay on no matter who says what. So yeah, thanks a lot, Alan. That was great. Thank you for that information. Um, oh my gosh, this is there's so many of you. Hang on. I have to scroll back up. Okay. Let me see. Trenton Norton survive. I hate all these millionaire bros. But then sometimes it's like, damn, maybe that reality is objective reality and I have to play the game I hate. That's what the capitalists want you to think. I think. They want you to play that game, but we don't have to. We don't have to come to that table. We can build our own table. And I think that's what a lot of us are advocating for, building our own table. And then the people will see and they will come to that table and the other table they won't come to. And then it'll just die. And I think that's what we're in the late stages of capitalism. It's on its deathbed. And we have to make it so that socialist policies, leftist policies, are seen as something that's the no brainer, the duh. You know what I mean? Like, We're bringing back being neighborly, knowing people around you and helping them, because ultimately, you know, socialism, the root word in socialism is social, right? Connecting with other people. Because look, think about the root words. Capital is focused on just capital, money, right? It's completely separated and devoid of people. That's why capitalism is so horrendous. It's because it's completely separate from people. It puts capital above everything else. Capital, money. Socialism is social, right? It's focused on the group, the collective. Communism is community, right? So the thing is that we need a people-centered economics, not a money-centered economics. I know it sounds kind of oxymoron a little bit, but basically meaning that we need to make sure that we all are surviving and thriving in order for us to continue to live on as a species. Because the other one means that we will eventually die off quickly. Um, so yeah, we have to we have to continue to keep thinking in a completely different direction, because if not, if we start going the capitalist way, we're killing ourselves, as you can see right now. Uh, I'm not sure who's on Facebook, but because it just says Facebook user. Um, but I will check in and see who that is in a minute. And thank you very much for tuning in. Uh, David Jones, was what's your question, bro? What's your take on Schumer forcing a vote soon? Okay, I'm glad you brought this up. Okay, so there's a lot of people who are anti-forced to vote, and I mean they have some points. But here's the funny thing: if forcing the vote is good enough for Schumer, Manchin, Cinema, the Tea Party, why wouldn't it be good enough for us on the left to do if you're still paying attention to electoral politics? If they can do it and use it to their advantage, we can do it too. See what I mean? And so he's doing it with the same type of tactic that we wanted to do it with Medicare for all or the $15 minimum wage. So Schumer forcing a vote, Bernie forced a vote. And I don't want people to come in here and say, "Oh, but that's different." How is it different? The strategy is still exactly the same. The only difference is the leverage as well as the policy. That's the only difference, right? Forcing the vote is just like you're using a ratchet to unscrew a bolt, whether that's on a generator or whether that's on a treehouse, it still works just the same. You're still using the same method to either build or dismantle something. So forcing the vote does the job. And that's a tool that should be used by the left and utilized by the left in order to get concessions for what we want, because it's been done in the past and it succeeded. You know, I think it was women's suffrage. I think they forced a vote on that one. They had a vote and it failed. But then the next time it happened. So we have to realize that it is a tried and true strategy. And you have to be willing to let the Democrats know that you are willing to, I hate the phrase that Kyle Kalinske uses, shoot the hostages, but you have to be willing to let them know that you will sink this ship unless you get what you want. Like, sink it. I will sink it. If I can't get what we need, nobody's going to get what they need. The billionaires aren't going to get shit. All right, fine. Give us what we want, or everything goes. You know what I mean? That's how you force a vote. Because playing the game behind the scenes, they have been doing that for years. And where has it gotten us? Nancy Pelosi was for single payer health care. Now look at her. She tried to play the game behind the scenes, and now look at her. If you listen to Nancy Pelosi back in the early 90s, she sounds just like a freshman congresswoman that everybody seems to know, and a lot of liberals are now coming to love. So, this is one of the reasons why it's so important, because in the end of it all, even though the mainstream media and the Democratic leadership, the Republicans, even if they all hate you, the people that matter will be behind you, and that's the people. Um, you see, Holly, you're talking about basic rights too, health, housing, education. Well, yeah, I mean, those are basic rights. And the thing is, the fact that they're basic rights, it should not be up for debate whether we should have them or not. The fact that we're debating it is a travesty in itself. Let me see. I feel Schumer's just talking, but we'll see. They always talk. They always talk. But the thing is that he's also up for re-election, so he's trying to make himself seem more on the left than what he really is. Martin, hi, welcome. Reparations should create or add to wealth, not be traded off for life expenses. Exactly. That's better. You said it better than I could. In fact, let me put that up on screen, because uh, it's about generational wealth. I mean, look, the slave owners who got reparations for no longer having slaves, did they actually need those reparations? What was being repaired? There wasn't really anything being prepared because they should have never had slaves in the first place, right? So they still had wealth, you know. So for us, it's a completely different story. Our reparations shouldn't be. Our reparations should not be a survival check, basically. Uh, Thank you very much, David Williams. Closing the wealth gap would be about $215,000, I guess, per person. Yeah, yeah, give or take. Might be a little bit more, uh, depending, because I think the average black family has a wealth of $10 versus the average white family is somewhere north of 100,000. Let me see. Um, Yeah, there's a lot of people who are now trying to champion forced to vote. A lot of people are coming around, and they don't have to say that we were correct. I don't care if you acknowledge that I was correct or not, as long as you come to the right position. That's all I care about. You can act like you never were against it in the first place. As long as you come to the right position, that's all I care about, because ultimately it's about the results. Uh, Welcome, Ware Pilgrim. We're getting into it. Let me see. Giovanni Montiero do Canto. Sorry if I butchered that. First, I just want to say Happy Father's Day. Thank you very much. I'm an uncle, but I feel like it, a father. My question is, will you discuss Biden's anti-terrorism thing? Whew. Biden's anti. He's, oh gosh. Okay, so Joe Biden is basically lumping together those of us who are anti-capitalist, those of us who are anarchists, and not when we say anarchism, we're not talking about anarchism as in chaos. Anarchism and chaos are not the same. Anarchism is basically a is government by altruism. I guess that's the best way I can say it. Is that it's stateless, stateless and governmentless, and it's basically people having an altruistic relationship and you know depending on one another, being with one another without having to depend on a state in order to regulate things. But suffice to say, Joe Biden is lumping those of us with the white supremacists, the white supremacist militia. He's lumping us together with, the KKK and the Proud Boys and what have you. And number one, that is completely unfair because he does not understand what we stand for. We have a, those of us on the left have a politics of compassion, dignity, and justice. That is what it's about. For us to want to not have any more billionaires is not violence and it is not extremist. It is a compassionate position because we do not want to see people suffer while you have others who have too much. That's a compassionate position and it is not demonizing success because the thing is, they who have the most financially are not successful. They are exploitative. And so therefore to say that the people who are exploitative are the good ones is completely ass backwards and it is anti-democratic. And yet I'm considered an quote unquote extremist for having that view. That document is basically showing us how fascist our government is because what what is it to say that we want to feed the homeless? That's illegal. To provide goodwill to people, to house the houseless, house the homeless, I should say. That's wrong. To not want to have for profit wars that take us abroad and have us extract the resources from a foreign land, from people, and force them into national squalor because we want their resources for ourselves. That's extremist. No, no. They are the extremists. The extremists are the people who put out that document. That's extremist. And I honestly say, will I get in trouble with these extremists? Probably. I mean, you know, once we get monetized on here, me having this discussion right now is probably I'd probably demonetized immediately because of my views because that's just the way this capitalist system is. Um, yeah. Thanks, Giovanni. I appreciate that. Um, Martin, and if you don't like Jimmy, who cares? Do you disagree with him? I mean, I would need to know some more of his positions in order to know if I disagree with him on other things. Um, when it comes to single payer healthcare and when it comes to things like that, I agree. But other things, I would need to see what his position is on. Like, for instance, I think that all drugs should be decriminalized. I think sex work is work. I think that um, housing should be a human right. Um, I think that we should not have any troops abroad. I think all 800 military bases should be closed. And I think that we should be working on not having a dependence on fossil fuels. We should be working towards a green sustainability, which would cut out a lot of the imperialistic practices that our military performs. And we should be fostering great trade relationships with places like Bolivia and Venezuela. We should have open communication and travel to Cuba, and work with them, especially as far as our research and development of healthcare. So, you know, um, I don't know if I can say that I would agree with him on everything. I need to know more, and so I don't watch his programming hardly at all. So, you know, I would like to have actually of an actual discussion with him based on this to ask him questions on where he stands on certain issues. And if we agree, then we agree. If we disagree, then I can argue my position and maybe move him over to the left or what have you. Um, yeah, yeah, there's a lot of comments I have to get to. I'm excited though. This is amazing. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. This is a day to be happy that you have children in your lives. And if you don't have kids, if you have nieces and nephews, happy Father's Day to you. If you're a father figure to your nieces and nephews, and if you don't have any kids at all in your life, but you have pets, happy Father's Day to you too. You know, um, Make the companies that profit from slavery pay those reparations, not poor white guy like me that only furthers divide. Let me ask you something, John Doe. Um, how would we force you to pay it? You see, here's the thing. You're probably thinking that your taxes will go up, which will make you have to pay the reparations. I'm reading The Deficit Myth by Dr. Stephanie Kilton, who is an economist, and is talking about modern monetary theory. So the whole reparations argument, they can literally pay for reparations on Monday, and they wouldn't have to raise taxes on you. Number one. Number two, I still want taxes raised, but I don't want them raised on you because you don't need your taxes raised. In fact, I think you need your taxes cut. I think that people like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, and all those other 600 billionaires, I think that they need their wealth taxed. In fact, I think that they should not be billionaires at all. I think that money should be taxed and given back to the people and reallocated to people like you, Mr. John Doe, because you are in the crossfire of we African descendants of slaves being persecuted. You got caught in that crossfire, and you shouldn't be have to suffer either. This is one of the reasons why I think things like housing for all, having single payer health care, having green infrastructure deals, oh, and also a federal jobs guarantee. I think that and even I think all these things should be implemented so that you also have a dignified life. So it's not about blaming you. It's not about blaming your descendants. It's about getting back what was stolen from us, our labor, our life, our dignity, our autonomy, and the government allowed it. So therefore, restitution needs to be paid. And because the United States government is a currency issuer, not a currency user, it has the power to create that currency to give to us. So yes, reparations should be paid, not just to us, but also our indigenous and Native American brothers and sisters, as well as many other people who have suffered at the hands of the United States, not just during slavery, but also during Reconstruction and Jim Crow and the pre-civil rights era, including today, where we still have slavery due to the prison industrial complex. So that's my answer to you. Yeah. Um, I'm sorry, Trent. I just have a chip on my shoulder. Spent 14 years in the music industry and have PTSD from celebrity abuse. Oh my gosh. So when I see left media becoming personality show, it reminds me of that. Yeah, and we really need to stop that personality show. Um, yeah, yeah. It's a lot of work to be, to try to be legit. And the thing is that you're gonna have money coming your way eventually. And then the thing is that you have to block, because they see what you are and they want to co-opt you so that when it comes to the left, they want to defang you. And we have to be sure to keep our integrity, which even may mean having a life, having anything lucrative come our way. And if that's the way that we have to live it, then hey, we got to keep our principles, we got to keep our integrity. Alan Axelrod, thoughts on doing a show with people who organize healthcare caravans to Canada to help people get more humanely priced medicine as a way to elevate Medicare for all? That's actually a good idea. Um, Look, DM me. You have my number. Let's talk about it. I actually would be game to discuss that. Um, yeah, because I think that's a great idea. If you're on Twitter, follow 213 Axelrod. He is at 213 Axelrod. He's one of my comrades that I have a huge amount of respect for. He was literally my first guest on the JB show, and we talked about the activism that he does and hashtag no Ameren shutoffs. And I would like to give some attention to him as well. um, they're doing the Lord's work, so to speak. So give them a follow, and also pay attention to the posts because you have neoliberals like Governor Pritzker in Illinois that is up to some BS, and people should not have their utilities shut off in the middle of a pandemic. So please give them a follow. Um, Abstract, yes, we love Michael Brooks. Can you invite Irami Osei Frimpong? I do not know who that is. Bukiki Muzas, I don't know. But I will need to look that person up. Um, Let me see. Family. Who is this on Facebook that is it says Facebook user. And so I'm just like, wait a minute, who is that? Uh Not sure, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. Um the competitive mindset may be a factor in squabbles. Yeah, definitely. Cooperative and collaborative. Yeah, that's the name of the game for me. I'm not going to be some exclusive person on YouTube and only the big leagues people can come on my show and we can talk. No, 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 no. Anybody who's on the left that has great takes, great ideas, that just wants to have a chat, I'm open to, as long as they're good faith actors, and we can have a discussion. Um, you know, and so uh, we need to collaborate because that is what will help us survive. Having five people work on building their own uh, car and then trying to compete with one another in order to win a race versus those five people collaborating, coming together to build a car that could be the best one out of everyone is, just so much better. Collaboration. That's what I'm all about. Um, hey, QKR Socialist. What's up? Nice to see you. I am very slow at getting to all these responses because I am long winded as hell and I apologize. I remind you of one of my Fort Hampton co hosts, don't I? I kid because I love. Let's see. Where Pilgrim. Thank you, David Jones. I want to throw some money at that goal. Where do I go for that? Um, you can go either through HAPS if you would like to, or you can go to the Patreon. We are working on getting super chats ready. We're also working on getting Ko-fi, and uh, we're working on a few different things. But needless to say, for now, if you want to contribute to either the Patreon or if you want to go to HAPS and give an award there, that's great. I don't know who this is. It says unverified user. They gave, $5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It is, I'm humbled, and we're just trying to use this in order to make sure that we can continue to keep speaking out because look, I live in the hood. I'm gonna be real. There's nothing glamorous about uh, anything around me. I live in Val Deming's district. Oops. I live in her district, and if you know anything about her district, there is a lot of working poor people in her district, and I'm in the thick of it. I see police, on an almost daily basis in my neighborhood, and it's hard out here. My rent just went up $100 in 1 year, and I think this is like the second time in the last 3 years. The only reason why it didn't happen last year is because we were in the middle of a pandemic, so they had mercy on us, I guess. But yeah, and it's tough. And being on a fixed income, it's not easy. Um, but at the same time, I'm also grateful because it allows me to be able to be regular on this program so that I can help people to understand that they deserve better. Um, so I appreciate just the words of encouragement. That helps me in so many ways that you don't even know because I am also deeply hard on myself. I don't know if that's a capitalist mindset, but I'm also deeply hard on myself because I always see myself as lesser than everyone else because everyone else is so amazing at everything else. So I appreciate any support that you guys can give. Let me see. Your mind would be great. I think a long-term discussion style would match maybe with JV. Okay, that's cool. Um, if you're on Twitter, tag me or shoot me a DM or what have you, and we'll talk about it. Um, Hello, Gene. Nice to have you. Oh, it went up. It went, dang it. Sorry. This thing is, you guys are like really like pumping out the comments in here. So, oh, shit. Wow, there's a lot of comments. This is awesome though. Um, oh my gosh, I'm seeing stuff I haven't saw yet. Whew. Let me see. Oh man. Sorry guys. I'm trying to be as fair as I possibly can so that I can get to these comments. Let me see. Oh my gosh. There's so many. Okay. 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 All right. I think we're back. Okay. IJ Swag. It says, brother, have you had any chance to read about Prout theory? I don't never heard of that before. Prout theory. I don't want this thing to freeze on me, so I'm gonna go on my phone and look that up. Let me see here. Um, because that sounds interesting. Let's see. Proud theory. I don't know what that is. Let me see. Progressive utilization theory is a socio-economic and political theory created by the Indian philosopher and spiritual leader Prabhat Ranjan Sakar. The theory is in line with Sakar's neo-humanist values, which aim to provide proper care to every being on the planet, including humans, animals, and plants. Sounds pretty cool. I'll have to look into it, but um, I'll give that, I'll give that a read. My issue with TYT is that they push use to capitalism. No one can push me into what I disagree with. My issue is that their conclusions are based on lies. Well, capitalism, is basically a lie because it makes it sound like everybody can get ahead when only a few people can get ahead. Okay. Question, JB. I totally agree on reparations, all levels, municipal, county, state, federal. What do you think of truth and reconciliation councils? I don't know what truth and reconciliation councils are, but from what it sounds like, is it sounds like something that needs to be had, that should be inculcated with a long history that is taught so that people will know and that can be able to uh, learn the history so that we have basically like a never again type of mindset. Similar in Germany with when it comes to, you know, the way they feel about the Holocaust, like never again. We should have that implemented. So if that's what that means, I'm all for it, definitely. Um, James Root, what's up? Gene, if one studies marketing or starting your own business, the idea to appeal to your people, state or say your true intentions, and the right people will be there. Yeah, be honest from the start. That's how I roll. And if you don't like it, then that's fine. I'm not for everybody. I'm annoying as hell. You know, and I know that some people just don't like me, and I've come to terms with that. And um, if that's the case, that is okay. There's somebody for everybody, as long as people have a life of dignity and people are compassionate and have justice. Then that's along with equity and equality. That's cool with me. It's the end goal that I'm focused on. Winchester. And the worst part is that they don't seem to be interested in the facts. Well, yeah, yeah. The facts matter more than anything else. Facts and data. Uh, hit the thumbs up. Thank you. QKR Socialist. I appreciate that. Please make sure to like, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. The YouTube algorithm does not like us because we speak in a way that is against the interests of capitalists. YouTube is a company where they are capitalists and they want to use this platform to continue to push a capitalist agenda. Any one of us who uses the platform to go against that, they see as a hindrance. So they kind of use the algorithm to make sure that we don't get heard. So we have to go around it. And so I appreciate the likes, the subscriptions, and beyond that, copy this video and paste it on whatever social media that you have. So whether it's on, Facebook, uh, Twitter, Instagram, I don't care if you're on Parlor, all these different, Snapchat, what have you, because the thing is that we need to get around the algorithms and they're not going to help us anytime soon, especially given what Joe Biden just put out about, us being extremists, quote unquote. JB, your thoughts on financial literacy among communities of color and the lack of financial awareness of how our systems work? Being financially illiterate is is a feature of the system, not a bug. So, as far as financial literacy goes, um, everybody should be taught financial literacy from the moment we are kids. Now, they start with financial literacy by teaching us how to count change and things like that. Like my youngest nephew is learning how to count change and money and things like that, which is fine. But we got to go beyond that. And financial literacy is deeply important, especially we're not taught that in the black community. And on top of that, financial literacy actually goes out the window when you're in a position where you feel like every day is an emergency. So that whole like saving a little money and investing in the future and blah blah blah, that goes out the window when you're not making a living wage. That goes out the window when you have your car breaking down. That goes out the window when you have to miss a day of work because your kid is sick. That goes out the window when you get sick and but you don't have days off or you ran out of your time, paid time off or what have you. That shit goes out the window. So it's like, you know, financial literacy must be important, but we also have to put in systems in place and put in safety nets in place so that people can apply that financial literacy as well. Because you can have the literacy, but until you actually have the resources in order to apply it, it's just surface knowledge and you can't really use it, because they don't want you to use it in the first place. Um, Jay, we should talk about Black metamartyrdom sometime. I wrote about it on Hampton Institute. That sounds interesting. We have to get into that as well. Um, Thank you, Gene. Trent says, "Would you ever like some music or media free of charge? Trying to figure out how to utilize my talents in this movement, and I want to help, but I don't know where to start." Um, First answer to your question, yes. Try to figure out how to utilize my talents in this movement, and I look, start small. That's the best you can do. Start small. Even if it's just helping one person, start small. And if you want to grow it, then you can. But as long as you're helping one person, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Mutual aid is at least helping one person. I don't care. You don't have to be like somebody like Rome who is all over the country giving away like 10,000 diapers and 9,000 pieces of clothing to kids. Just one person, because that one person, if you can change their world in a positive way, you've changed a world. That's all that matters. Um, Winston, I completely agree with you. Just saying, some people who can't stand anything to do with the word socialism, communism, anarchism. Hell, some people freak out at the word comrade. Shit is an uphill battle. Yes, it is, and this is one of the reasons why we have to keep it within kitchen table issues, right? When you're talking to somebody who's complaining about their job, you start talking about workplace democracy. You don't have to talk about socialism. You start talking about workplace democracy and be like, man, wouldn't it be great if you actually own part of the company that you make money for? Wouldn't it be great to actually, to get a living wage so you only have to work one job and you not only have all your basic needs met, but you can also have some disposable income so that you can save, right? So start talking about just kitchen table issues. You can move people better to the left by talking about the kitchen table issues, issue for issue, than trying to explain socialism, communism, anarchy, things like that. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, people care about what happens in their daily lives and in the material conditions that they have to supplement. So focus on that, and then in the end, they will come to us, and that's what it's about. And also helping them to achieve that in small ways if you can. You know what I mean? You know, I don't care if you're giving somebody $5 or you're giving them a ride to their school or to their job. Whatever you can do, just do it. Let's see. Uh, See, DSA reparations. It will take many coalitions. Yes, no single organization can take this on. Absolutely, we need our basic understandings. Discussing, differing, amending, and doing it again is healthy. Absolutely, Laura Hens. Thank you very much. I couldn't have said it better myself, so I'm not going to try. uh, yeah, I mean, you got to get hyped. I mean, the thing is that pushing towards things that make people's lives better should get you hyped, because you want people to succeed. You have to become a catalyst for life. What do I mean by catalyst for life? You want to do things that either cause people to live or extend someone's life. Healthcare extends someone's life. You know, Fighting climate change will extend someone's life. Being anti imperialist extends someone's life. Making sure that people are not killed by an occupational police force extends lives. There's so many things that we can do to extend people's lives. And so dismantling capitalism will extend people's lives. And so because of that, that's what should get you hype. That's what should help you get up in the morning. We all have to go to work. We all have to go through this capitalist rut. And that is depressing, and that's understandable. But I'm talking about outside of that, doing what you can to help people so that they do not feel a sense of despair and dismay. And even if they do, you're giving that one good, breath so that they can just breathe for a second, so they can keep on going. So then they can get to a better plateau, and then they can do what you're doing. And then they help others. And then it carries over, and it's a domino effect, because ultimately that's how we do it. We have to do everything from the bottom up, because we realize that you cannot trickle down. Trickle down means nothing. Uh, let me see. Let me see. Because Democrats don't really want those things. That's actually, ugh, sorry, that's accurate, Gene. They don't want these things because they agree with the Republicans. They just don't want you to know that they agree with them. Um, James Root, because the left is a fantasy and they are only here to deter us, and she heard us off of a cliff. Uh, some some are, um, but best way to combat against that is keeping our focus on the larger issues. Um, Let me see. Martin is completely fantasy that losing a vote sets a movement back. Yeah, yeah. Because the thing is that even when it comes to forcing the vote, uh, even if it fails, you look at the people who made it fail, and then that's who you go after, and then you kick them out, and you put in people who will, vote for it. Now, are there going to be some people who vote for it just because they don't want to look bad? Yeah, but when it comes time to actually vote for it again, with the potential of it passing, and if it fails again, then guess who's going to be on the chopping block? They will. Because now you start seeing him as a flip flopper. You start to see him Kamalified. You like that? Kamalified. Because she's a flip flopper. Let me see. Let's keep going. Uh, James, JB, what's your preference? James. That's my name. Um, that's fine. I mean, people call me JB. That's fine. It's kind of a distinction between Compton J and myself. So it's cool. Yeah, the Civil Rights Act did not pass the first time, so we need to keep going. Let's see. Manchin has leverage. Yes. Pelosi's more for single payer ice cream. Oh, we're pilgrims. Pelosi is more for single payer ice cream. Yep. Yep. And $12,000 refrigerators. We need to make them the politicians fear us. We need to force the vote ourselves. Yeah, politician. If a politician is not afraid of you, then there's something wrong. There's something very wrong because then that means that they're going to do things that could damage you or disenfranchise you to the point where, like, if something bad happens to you, they don't give a shit. And then you try to make demands, they won't listen. Yeah, so they need to be afraid of you. Um, Anything we can do to help any and all marginalized people in the meantime should be done, and we should also be radicalizing as many people into becoming comrades during that same time too. This is one of the best parts about this is one of the only good parts about this pandemic is that it's making people realize that the game is rigged and the false idea of meritocracy is a sham. And so that's when we come in and we're like, look, what these feelings that you're feeling are valid. And there's a reason why the things are the way they are. And you actually have the power to make things change. And here's how it's done. And we're here to help you. We're not politicians. We're not we're not people who are trying to get one on over on you. We want you to have a better life because if you have a better life, I have a better life because that's what collectivism means. You hurt, I hurt. You succeed, I succeed because that's what humanity is all about. Um, Hollyhorn, don't you get me in trouble now. Oh hell yeah, it was. I was referring to AOC. Who cares? Uh, Single payer gourmet ice cream. Let me see. James Root. Money. The answer is we live in a capitalist society. Sadly, we aren't going to change that in time before this thing collapses. Getting people on board has to be done through a money lens. Well, that's why we talk about kitchen table issues. Kitchen, gosh, what in the hell is wrong with me today? We have to talk about kitchen table issues because that's the lens that people understand things through. And that's how we have to talk about it. Let me see. Reparations seems like common sense. Yes, Allison, it is common sense. And here's the funny thing. If I do something bad to you and I get taken to court, if you sue me for doing something bad to you, how is that controversial? If you sue me for damages and restitution, pain and suffering, how is that how is that controversial? It's not. It's not. Yeah. Look, David, this discussion is going so fantastically because of all of you. That's the reason why it's going fantastically. I'm pouring through these. Uh, yup, Alan, leftist uncles. That's we gotta teach children the truth about the system so that they know what's up, so that they can never come to us and say, "Why didn't you tell me?" Because ultimately, I don't think that I'm going to see a lot of these things in my lifetime, but I damn sure want to make sure they see it in theirs. Because I refuse to see my nieces and nephews have to go through a system where they have to go into debt for their healthcare or for their education, or they have to see a planet that is dying. I will be damned if I let that happen. I am not going to allow my nieces and nephews, all five of them, I'm not going to allow them to see a world where they have to look behind their back because they don't feel safe because somebody has a badge and a gun. Absolutely not. I do not want them to have to see people being blown to bits in another country just because the corporations who control our government wanted them to go to war to extract their resources. Hell, fuck, no. Absolutely not. I will not allow this future generation from Gen Z on down to suffer the way we millennials and up have. That is unacceptable. Society is supposed to get better as time moves on, not worse. And I will not allow that to happen, at least in my own way. I'm not going to allow it to happen. See, the anti-terrorism program is the beginning of the end of any form of protest that will be labeled domestic terrorist. Yes, and part of it is because everybody was losing their shit on January 6th because of uh, some idiots who decided to storm the Capitol and go through a fucking tour. Were there some dangerous people in there? Hell yeah, there definitely was. But the problem is that we all know that the government used it in order to be able to enforce more authoritarian and draconian laws against people who actually want to make the system better. And that's how they do it. I forgot who it was. It may have been, I think it may have been Dick Cheney who said, never let a good crisis go to waste. Yeah, they did it with 9/11. They're doing it with this January 6th. Um, Anthony Ryder, thank you. Thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate that. It's so nice to have you. Um, I hope you brought cookies. Actually, I want some cookies too. Huh. All right, let me see. And thus, we are being shown in real time that we have no freedoms or protections. You are not allowed to speak out against the government in any way, shape, or form. That is the whole reason for the First Amendment, which is being violated as we speak. It's being violated by our own government. The culture is of one lack, and there isn't enough for the majority. Unemployment, wages, no healthcare. How do we get the majority to see the justice behind reparations? Truth be told, you don't even need to get the majority to see the justice behind it. The majority didn't see the justice behind what Dr. Martin Luther King was going to do when he died. Just because it's not popular doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. As long as it's ethical, even if it's unpopular, it should always be done. So Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a 75% disapproval rating when he died. And now you mention his name, everybody's like, oh my God, I love Dr. King. Some of these people, if they were back in the 1960s, they would have hated his guts. See what I mean? So, truth be told, when it comes to reparations, I don't care if I don't care if 75% of the country disagrees with it. It's still the right position. And their kids and their kids' kids will come around and go, "Oh yeah, duh, that should have happened." So, um, I mean, we can try to argue the position, which is very logical, but you're still gonna have people who are still gonna be against it, no matter what. Because, like I said last night in the Juneteenth special, uh, like the quote says, uh, "To the privileged, equality feels like oppression." So they feel like they're being oppressed because they feel like that we want to take money from them for something that their grandparents did, and it's like, yeah, no, we're we're getting our uh, we're getting our restitution and our damages for what a lot of their ancestors have done. That's what it is. Um, the problem with voters on the right think that it's just some sort of concocted liberal plot, when in reality, both sides would love Biden's anti-war bullshit to pass. Oh, of course. And here's the thing: um, if you're on the right, if you are uh, a conservative or a MAGA supporter, or you're very pro-police, you're very pro-military, things like that. And if you're mad about what Biden is doing, it was never, ever about policy for you. It was just a cult of personality. Because if you look at what Trump was doing, Trump had the ability to do a lot of things he did because Biden was the architect. And now that Biden is in office, guess what? Biden is doing the same things that Trump would have did. They both agree on everything. It's just a stylistic argument. It's just a cult of personality. And so if I was on the right, if I was a MAGA supporter, I'd be thrilled with Biden. Thrilled because Biden is doing everything that Trump basically would do. Okay, so yeah, he's not doing the cultural stuff, but economically and authoritarian wise, he's doing everything that I mean that would what Biden is doing as far as policy would give Rush Limbaugh a boner. That's how much Biden is doing that's like Trump. So don't fall for the BS. If people who are liberal who are praising Biden, you're on the same side as somebody who's MAGA. There's blue MAGA, there's red MAGA. Let me see. Whew, wow, you guys are really commenting. I'm trying to get to them. Let's see. Anarchism is being for moneyless classes, stateless society, and any and all organization is done voluntarily without hierarchy. Sorry for being a little late with it, but I had to type it out. No, it's cool. Thank you. That is basically what anarchism is, and yeah, that's and that would be nice. You know, um, I think that's something that would be a more ultimate goal down the line. They are not successful. They are exploitative. Yeah. Let me see. Fuck the state, the church, and the corporations. However, Adam Smith and Karl Marx both fail philosophically because of a strictly materialistic outlook on and a lack of spirituality foundation. Some people. uh don't believe in spiritual and metaphysical. And so uh but everybody has to depend on something material. Now, whether or not they need to depend on something spiritual, I mean, that's up to them. But everybody needs their material needs met because if not, you're dead. So um, I can't say I agree or disagree. I would have to I would have to look more deeper into it. So I apologize about that. Let me see. How do we address the spiritual crisis in the world? Um, Look, as far as that's concerned, there has to be a shift in people's hearts to embrace empathy more. The problem is that we have a system where empathy is seen as something that will get you run over because that's the way capitalism operates. So we have to change that system. And so then it will seem more beneficial to be we want a system that seems not seems but that the more empathetic you are, the better you are. The more compassionate you are, the better off you are. That's the type of system that we want. The thing is that we have to fight for that system. And if we all come together and fight for that system, then I think the whole spiritual aspect of people, being more compassionate and more empathetic will grow. Let me see. Yes, you're going to be labeled a terrorist for fighting against anything the state deems anti-American. So yeah, you will be put on a little FBI list when you go protest. Yeah, it's going to happen. That's just the name of the game. But I'd rather that happen than me, staying at home and not doing anything, and then my conscience eats at me. I just can't do it. Uh, when you go advocate for the homeless or the undeserved, yeah, because they need a voice. They need somebody to speak up for them. And I'm loud as hell, so they need it. Um, the government just updated some law or something about anti-capitalists. You can be potentially labeled a domestic terrorist or some dumb shit like that. Well, yeah, it's dumb shit. Let me see. That's interesting. That QA or socialist. Biden feels compassion. Biden feels compassion is extremist because he feels judged. Well, he ought to feel judged because I mean, just for instance, that crime bill and that bankruptcy bill is definitely extremist. Let me see. All right, let's keep going. Winston, in my opinion, the sooner we organize and create mutual aid networks organically across the country, the sooner we can begin a general strike and more and fight back against the ruling class collectively. Absolutely. This is why it starts with all of us, you know. And like I said, mutual aid does not have to be monetary. It could be us, watching someone's kids. It could be watching someone's parents. It could be teaching, someone, how to um, do a litany of things so that we can help provide for others. You know, if you're a nurse and you know of people who need mutual aid, they can't go to a hospital, because it's expensive, and it may not be an extreme emergency. It may just be something that they need, as far as to be looked at, then do that. You don't need to, have, uh, you don't need to do anything over the top if that's what you're good at. If you're somebody that's involved in tech, somebody has issues with their computer or what have you, help them out, you know, free of charge. You know, Margot Leonforte. Look, you don't even have to come up with a question. It doesn't have to be. You can just say a comment. It's all good. I'm just happy to have you here. Um, Winchester Line, you can invite him on your show. He would come. Who? I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Let me see. My son thinks I'm immature. It's good to be young at heart, though. Let me see. Lacking a strong obedience muscle is extremist. We no longer have a large dissenters community like in the UK, leading to the revolution and beheading of King Charles. Well, yeah. Um, I forgot who said it, but they said dissension is the greatest form of patriotism. Let me see. Let me see. Who else? Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. We need to keep talking, have these conversations. Um, Man, time is flying by too. Uh, the abstract core, bro. We got to talk about MMT too. Of course, yeah. I want to have those discussions because this is something that needs to be had. And the more we talk about it, the more the information will get out there, and the more the information will get out there, it will dismantle the whole, oh, we have all this debt and we have to take care of this debt so that we don't put it on our children. Well, you got to think about the children. Oh my God, we have so much debt, even though we print all our money, even though we're a currency issuer, not a currency user. So yeah, um, billionaires shouldn't exist. 95% wealth tax now. I like your energy. I think that's why Prince Charles didn't want to be named King Charles III when he ascends to the throne. Get rid of monarchs. Get rid of them all. Just make them a regular family that lives, I don't know, in Cornwall or some shit. I don't know. I think that's why Let me see. I came from a communist country, and I have seen firsthand how horrible the people are treated under the authoritarian regime. I do not agree with communism, but I'm all in favor of socialized democracy. Um, Now, as far as that's concerned, number one, any and all different types of economic institutions, not institutions, any and all type of economic systems are not perfect. Um, and I don't know, Nelson Ortega, which country that is that you came from, but uh, I am against authoritarianism as well. But I think that a lot of countries that have tried to become either socialist or communist, if you look at the history of the United States, every single time they tried, the United States actually led a coup and put in a shadow puppet government so that they don't turn into that, even though those people who they tried to kick out were democratically elected. So it's all about how if the person is democratically elected and it is not coercion, then if that if the people choose it to be communist, then that's their democracy. Um, you see, would you be okay if billionaires existed if hypothetically poverty and hunger worldwide didn't exist, like borderline utopian? No, I still wouldn't be okay if billionaires existed because in order to be a billionaire, you have to exploit. I'm against all exploitation. Period. So no. Thanks, Jack Henry, for that question. I don't believe Stephanie Hilton, Ben Bernanke, and current Fed Chair Jay Powell confirmed this exactly how we fund the government on air interviews. They basically, yeah. Well, actually, Stephanie Hilton actually basically said what Ben Bernanke said. That's from what I can remember. I mean, basically, it's just marking up numbers on a computer to give to banks. That's how they create the funds. Let's see. The government doesn't have a budget. Let me see. Wow, the Japanese got $20,000 each for World War II internment. Yeah. Um. Yeah, get um we should get reparations because if the Japanese and if slave owners can get reparations, and so can we. JB's doubled down on YouTube demonetizing all videos forever and signaling for Biden's tracking list. Yep, it's going to happen. Do you have a price? When it comes to lives, there is no price. People should be people should have a life of dignity, especially if we live in the richest country in the history of the world. People should be provided for, and we all need to help each other survive because we're humans and life is priceless. Uh, Over 50,000 shutoffs in the last 2 months. Ugh, that's horrible. So imagine if you are either have lower hours or you lost your job due to the pandemic and the utility company shuts you off regardless. That's basically what is going on in Illinois. So this is one of the reasons why the no amaranth shutoffs are so important because guess what? If it's going to happen there, it can happen anywhere else. And if it happens to you, it is not fun. I don't care whether we're in the middle of the summer or the middle of the winter. You should not have your power shut off simply because of you know you being either lower on hours working or being fired, especially because of a pandemic. That is that's horrible. Should not happen. Um, Pritzker is such a piece of shit. I say this as someone who lives in Illinois. Oh my gosh. Well, I feel sorry. But if we're going to be talking about oppression Olympics here, Winston, DeSantis is my governor, and he just made it illegal for us to protest. So, I see your Pritzker and I raise you a DeSantis. Let me see. Let me see. I just came into this chat and I heard about the Medicare caravan idea. I think it is a great idea and I would be happy to contribute. And someone DM me. Okay, so Chris Bedford, someone DM about the Medicare caravan. That would be awesome. Also, I will be attending the Medicare for All March. That's going to be, I think, in at least 15 cities around the United States. If you're in Orlando, Florida, I would love to meet you. It would be nice to have you here because we should have single payer healthcare. That should be the floor. And so I will be there because people deserve it. Frimpong can be found on YouTube as the Funky Academic. Oh, yeah. I think I know who that is. He's a frequent guest on Rising. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That guy, he's pretty cool. I've heard from him before. Uh, Let me see. Yeah, Jeremy Chase. There is no super chat right now. We're working on it, but once we have it up, I'll let you guys know. Um, see, I'm pro but skeptical considering reparation. Can you fuel the far? Can it fuel the far right? Um, you know what? Anything that we do is going to fuel the far right. Anything until like down the line, and they see the logic in it, or their kids see the logic in it, and then it's like, oh no, duh, you know. Like for instance, the far right absolutely hated, Medicare for all, but then you start looking at some of the polls, and Medicare for all is like, I think it's like a 45 to 48% of Republicans are for Medicare for all now. So you know it's going to happen. I'm afraid it will lead to civil war, and that's done properly. Will the money go to people, places, or institutions like schools and so on? Number one, it doesn't have to be done perfectly, because the thing is that um, you know people are going to be against it no matter what, and that's okay. Why do I say that's okay? Because every single time we've done something to advance and make things more equal, you've had people on the far right rising up, and they still lost in the long run. So they're going to lose in the long run anyway. You see, in my opinion, reform isn't going to make the system work for us. It can only take some of the edge off of it. Revolution will bring about a system that will work for all people rather than only the ruling class. Yes. The question is it going to take a peaceful revolution, or is it going to take a violent one? I don't want a violent revolution at all. However, like like John F. Kennedy said, those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make a violent revolution inevitable. So, unfortunately, a lot of times, even how we got this country was through a violent revolution. So, I mean, the powers that be do not want it to happen, and they will be the ones to initiate violence. That's how they are, because they do not want to give up their power ultimately. If it happens, then it happens. I don't want it to happen. I'd rather do just mutual aid and a general strike, but that also means coming, from a point where you have nothing else to lose. And so if you get to that point where you feel like you have nothing else to lose, after after a general strike, then all bets are off, and things get a lot more intense. I think you have to have a certain number of subscribers to get super chat status. 1,000. We have enough subscribers, so yeah, we'll be getting super chats up soon. Um, America isn't class conscious, and that needs to change. Yeah. Uh, Much like JB. Thank you so much, Kami John. I appreciate it. How do you throw money at me? Hey, don't throw change at me. Those metal coins, they hurt. Ow. I'm just kidding. Um, yeah, so I do on my Twitter. I'm not sure if you're on there. I do have a um I do have a PayPal um on my pin tweet, or I do have a GoFundMe on there too. I mean, if you want to go that route, um I don't give it much attention except for on Twitter once in a while. Um, or you can, still just go to Fred Hampton Left is uh, on Patreon, and you can contribute there. See, the only problem with super chats is that YouTube takes 30% of all of the fucking money. Yeah, yeah. So that's why we're trying to get a Ko-fi up so that we get 100% of whatever we you give. Um, David Jones, give me a link. Um, I gotta. I do not know how to do that. That is. Let me. I do not know how to do that. I'm sorry. Um, I'll get back to you on that. I apologize. Um, a lot of these chats I'm getting to are like almost an hour old. Wow. Uh, let's see. Man, you guys are really commenting. Another guest is Charity Croft. He's an awesome song by I'ma Be Happy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. He's challenging 5 minute videos and his opinions are on the left, and I just find his videos push. That's good. Another good person is Second Thought. He also has great videos on Twitter. If you guys give him a follow on YouTube, and he's also on Second Thought on Twitter as well. Um, Let me see. Wow, I am. Let me see. Love you, Gina. Let me see. Shout out to the Father's Day. Keep up the good work, Jay. I've been watching you all when I get a chance. Black in the Empire. Thank you so much. I am scrolling up because I'm trying to make sure I get to everyone. It's kind of tough because you guys are just amazingly just like all up in the chats, and I am loving you guys right now. Wow, this is crazy, and I'm literally like less than 15 minutes left on this stream. Uh, Trent, damn, bro, what you said about helping just one person was something I really needed to hear today. Made me tear up. I'm probably gone by now, but thank you for your encouragement. Oh man, thank you so much. That's how we have to be. Collaboration of humanity is what will save us. JB, will you join Rockfin? Maybe avert the Google Tube censorship. Yeah, we're working on Rockfin. Um, a lot of these ideas that everybody is pushing our way, we've already thought of, and we're getting to them. It's just we're trying to do this the right way, because you know we are an organization of leftists, and we want to make sure everything we dot our I's and cross our T's. So just please be patient with us, and we'll get these things going. Um, wow, I am Jonathan Schoberg. Thank you so much. Uh, I thank you so much for that award. With Fred Hampton, let's be open to having the funky academic Yvette Carnell or Antonio Moore on your podcast. Hey, yeah, as long as you're an honest actor, and we can talk about policy, sure, definitely. Paul Smith, thank you so much for that question. Um, oh, I finally got back to where I was. Thank goodness. Okay. Um, James Root, $100 may seem like until you realize the cost of everything, increasing your income, never moving a fucking cent. Yeah. Unfortunately, That's the system that we live in. And then, you know, uh, for anybody right now, this actually is a good time for me to bring this up. You need to care about Social Security. Absolutely. Because you are either going to need it when you get older or you're going to need it when something happens to you. Either way, it's going to affect you down the line. And Social Security should be expanded by reason for people who are elderly should not have to live in squalor, and people who are disabled should not have to live in squalor at all. And so, my opinion is that Social Security retirement and Social Security disability should be equivalent of that of what somebody would make as a true living wage. That should be the floor, and that should be what they get, right? So, um, if you know, aren't for expanding Social Security, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's my only thing I have to say on that one. Uh, James, does your community have organized groups that support the needs of the community? Is there a culture of taking care of each other? No, there isn't. The reason why there isn't is because capitalism is very individualistic. And so people only see a need to really take care of themselves. And we have to change that culture one person at a time. You're good at conversation. Thank you, Chris Bedford. I appreciate it so much. Too many questions, not enough time. Yeah, yeah. One of the reasons why I don't want to go past 3 o'clock Eastern time is because when people watch this again, if you see us for an extremely long time, it gets daunting. Sometimes you don't even want to watch. Let's see, the system convinces us to blame ourselves and blame brothers and sisters instead of the rich and powerful. Absolutely. You need an assistant to organize the question. Yeah, I do. It's just um, I can't afford it. And if I'm going to have an assistant, they're going to be paid a living wage and not 15 an hour. They're going to be paid like 25 an hour. So it would be like $50 to do this broadcast. Um, if I have an assistant, they're going to get paid a living wage. Love you so from South Africa, Critical Minds. Oh my God. Wow. Thank you. South Africa. That is awesome. Welcome to have you from all the way in the future. You see, our record note down questions or in some fashion. Yeah, I got a lot to work on. Let me tell you. Would Fred Hampton leftists be open to have? Let me see. Fuck me. I answered that already. I'm gonna go smoke. Go have a smoke. Let me see. Israeli frimpong, dude is on point. Thank you. Irami, I'm sorry. Let me see. Man, this is awesome. Thank you so much for all this support. Let me see. I left TYT over Syria covered. Same with democracy now. When you have people like Aaron Mate that's on the ground giving coverage of it, it means that you have to give a listen, even if it challenges the narrative that you've been taught. If it makes more objective sense, especially when you see the data and the facts on the ground, then you have to be willing to readjust and shift your opinion based on the facts and data that is presented to you. And so, this is one of the reasons why it is important to look at the events on the ground in Syria and see what has been shown and see if there's any false narrative that's been laid out. Because a lot of times, if you look at what mainstream media is saying, a lot of times there's a false narrative that's laid out in order to pursue uh, a imperialistic endeavor. Um, Let me see. Oh, no, we don't want that. Let me see. Jeremy Chase. I like you too, Jeremy. Thank you. JB, your thoughts on financial literacy in inner cities, people of color? I think I already answered that question. Um, but yeah, people need to be more financially literate. Let me see. Um, let's see. My account is constantly censored, making comments for the exact same reason. Fuck YouTube. Yeah, we get censored a lot here. Uh, the Psycho Man. What is financial literacy? Financial literacy is basically knowing how finances work so that you may be able to not only survive but thrive and also have a disposable income so that when it comes time for you to retire, you do not have to live in squalor and you do not have to live in a poor state. So this is what financial literacy is. It's also the means to being able to pass down uh, any type of wealth to younger generations so that they also will have a better chance at not having a decrepit life when they are elderly or throughout the rest of their lives, even when they're younger. So financial literacy is deeply important. Unfortunately, financial literacy is is kept away from those of us who are working class, and especially those of us in the black community, because they don't want us to know how to work the system just like they do. And unfortunately, part of working the system means actually being exploitative. So really, we don't want that in the first place. But they also want to keep us separate from each other so that we do not unite and change the system so that it benefits the many instead of the few. The Cycle Man, thank you for subscribing. I'm getting to these so late. Oh my god. Okay, I'm just gonna go really fast. Okay. Thank you so much, Laura Hins. Uh, Jeremy Chase. I stopped. I paid off my payday loan, and I am not going back, even though I'm still suffering. Let me see. How do you feel about the dog meat trade in Asia? Dogs are being skinned, boiled, torched alive. Boycott China, Korea. No dog meat. What in the fuck are you talking about? I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, there's some religions that worship cows, and we eat cows in this country. Uh, yeah. You see. I dream of a busload of people who go around, teach finance, organizing, how to steer through the system, cooking skills, gardening, and so on. Gene, that is mutual aid. Perfect. Thank you. That's mutual aid. And that is a wonderful dream to have, and we can make it into a reality. Let's see. Yeah, Margot Leonforte. Yeah, they don't teach any financial literacy at all because if you're working class, they don't want you that. They want you to be autonomous drones, to be able to just work and be complicit and compliant. JB, will you join Rockfin? Let me see. I am trying to get through these. This is a major reason why mutual aid networks are so desperately needed. Absolutely. How would you gain financial literacy? You have to learn, but also you have to fight for policies that will allow us to have a floor so that we can learn it better. I know that's not the best answer, but that's what I have, and literally have a minute left. You could argue that people who are impoverished are extremely financially illiterate in order to survive day to day. They can't save for a rainy day because every day is a rainy day. Yes. Let me see. Thank you so much for Ware Pilgrim. When I asked eighth graders, they wished I was taught that isn't offered. Every answer is some kind of adulting 101. Kids are no longer taught. Exactly. Uh, Jeremy Chase, point taken. I was out of pocket last night. Yeah, it's okay. We have to learn, and sometimes, we are misunderstand or we misconstrued. It's all good. Um, Let me see. This would be. Let me see. First step is hard as to fall. Let me see. Every little step helps. I'm going through it, guys. You see, Denver, what you said about helping one person. Yeah, I already got to that. I live in Magaville, and I assure you that more of them are on our side in regards to those kitchen table issues than you might think. This is why it's important to talk to them and issue for issue, talk to people. Um, wouldn't it be great if we were all comrades? Look, a person can become a comrade when you take the false notions away and you show them what the truth is, and a person can easily become a comrade. Because most people have some form of empathy and compassion, and so therefore, as long as they once you learn that the meritocracy is a myth based on the data and the logic, then people start to realize, oh shit, then we're all being played. Once you realize that, for instance, what MMT and how it actually is how the government operates, then you start to realize, oh shit, we could have so much better, but the people at the top don't want us to have it. So we just have to take it. Once you realize that, then everybody starts to become a comrade. The thing is that the propaganda is so strong, especially in mainstream media, that they do not want you to know. Look, fuck it, I'm going over time. Um, so that's one of the things that people need to be deprogrammed from, because we need to teach them the objective truth about what's really going on so that they no longer accept suffering by means of manufacturing consent. Let me see. Your success equals my success. Absolutely. That is how I that's what I believe. We're left for someone at FHL to talk to Bantu, Otaku, and Scorpion. They've been unfairly ostracized by BreadTube as the Eurocentric left. I don't know who that is, but I'll um, I can look into it. Deculturation. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Extend and improve lives of your fellow citizens and planetary inhabitants. Thank you very much. Have FHL reach out to all the chairmen, Amali HTL. Is that the name? Virtual Jonathan. Uh, I don't think so. Uh, but uh, we are trying to get in touch with Fred Hampton Jr. Um, thank you so much, Gene. I really appreciate it. Let me see. Let them eat ice cream, Nancy. Uh, we must only use the most effective change action strategies. Voting is one strategy. Drop it if it doesn't work. We throw everything at the wall and see if it sticks. If it does, then great. If it doesn't, then we do other things. You ever heard of the phrase diversify your portfolio? We have to diversify our means of making change. So if we have someone that is sympathetic to our cause and they want to be in office, then we can try to just, you know, have that person in office, but they will not by no means be our savior. They're just they're the door stopper as somebody trying to close the door, so that we can have a crack so that we can just bust that shit wide open. That's basically what they're there for. I don't see them as a means to opening the door. I just see them as a means to keeping it fully closed. That's all. Like, for instance, there's a socialist that is running as an independent for mayor of New York. Look, if you're in New York City and you're voting for mayor, then uh, go with the independent socialist. Don't go for anybody in the Democratic Party because they're shit anyways. So just go for them. Go for that person. And organize like hell, and not for the person to become mayor, but organize for the policies that you support. And you'll have, and maybe just maybe you'll have somebody who's somewhat sympathetic, even if they start to shift, they'll be somewhat sympathetic, and then you can still force their hand, but it's not as difficult to force their hand versus a liberal or neoliberal or conservative. That's basically all I have on that one. Let me see. Boycott and start co-ops. I would love to see more co-ops. Uh, a rising tide lifts all ships. I'm broke as shit. What do I do? These people don't care if we eat or not. Do what you can for others, and then it will come back to you. But also create a means for people to aid you mutually as well. So if you have Venmo, if you have Cash App, if you have PayPal, whatever, then also present it to other people and ask for help. This is one thing that we should always be willing to do is ask for help. The whole notion of not asking for help is also very capitalist because it focuses on us being individualistic and not depending on other people. The thing is, we are humans, we are community type uh, sentient beings, so therefore, we need to depend on each other, and that's how it is. The thing is that that capitalistic, individualistic mindset, especially instilled in us men, it's put in us so that we don't come together as a collective. So therefore, we need to fight against it and actually ask for help. And this is something that I typically also see that women tend to get right. Cis and trans women, they tend to get right. Is that they are more willing to be collective in their actions. And we need to learn from our sisters, both trans and cisgender sisters, that we need to be more collectivist in our actions as well. Let me see. QKR Socialists. The general strike has begun. They are fighting against us by using unemployment. Follow and support hashtag 1U for strikes, nurses standouts, and other notifications of workers. Okay, cool. Let me put that on screen. I know I'm going over, uh, but you guys are just like all up in my comments, and I appreciate it so much. And I need to get to you guys. Educate on what branding really is. Yeah, we have to educate on that because that's also about implementing policies that need to be implemented. And branding is deeply important because that's how you get the idea out there to people. Politicians and corporations not are not pro common sense. Absolutely. JB Fauntleroy, can we address the permanent war economy in the deep state? Judas Andrade. Okay, so the permanent war economy is something that needs to end. It needs to die because the thing is that we should not be at permanent war. What is the war for? The wars are only for extracting resources. If we stop, uh, if we stop ourselves from having to extract resources from other countries forcefully, then therefore there's no need for a military conflict, and we wouldn't need to have this war, this forever war economy. The getting extracting of resources is an excuse for us to get them at a cheaper or free, which is absolutely wrong because it is on somebody else's land, and also the military industrial complex sees that an opportunity to create to make money. So therefore, they want to be able to sell these to the arms to our military, which increases and over bloats our military budget. And on top of it, they also sell the arms also to our police forces, which means that we have an occupying military force that is in our midst as well, especially those of us who live in the hood, like myself. So the whole permanent war economy can be completely dismantled if we go to a green economy. I think that our soldiers should be fighting a war that does not use any type of munitions. That war is the war against climate change. I want to take our Army Corps of Engineers, as well as our soldiers and service members, I want to utilize them to fight climate change. So there will be fighting a war that has an end, but there will be no casualties. And so this will be a casualtyless war that where our soldiers will drop their guns and pick up hammers and screwdrivers and drills. And they will be using their energy and power to be able to help build. And they will be part of our workforce in order to create a more sustainable economy so that we have a better life here on Earth. And the deep state is real. It's not some conspiracy thing. The deep state is just the NSA and Homeland Security and all these others. And the problem with them is that they are so tied to the corporations that they see us as a threat. And so their enemy isn't people who are on the far right. Their enemy is people who are like us on the left that want to dismantle capitalism and take the power away from these oligarchs and put it back in the hands of the people. That's what the deep state is for. And people give license to the deep state because they feel like their safety is at risk because their consent is manufactured by means of mainstream media. This is why you have all these CIA operatives and intelligence operatives that are also contributing members on these shows on MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News. And so they're disseminating these ideas out there to make you think that you're unsafe because of these terrorists, even though you have some of these people who are actually freedom fighters in their own countries to keep the United States from extracting the resources and destroying their country. So that's what it's about. uh, January 6th, the new 9/11. Yep. uh, War is the number one export. Exactly. Let me see. The billionaire class doesn't even care if you eat tonight. uh, they definitely don't care. News report January 6th leader was connected to CIA. Of course, of course. I'm not surprised. Let me see. Reparations a way to bail out the rich from the grassroots up, not piss down your back and call it rain. This is one of the reasons why I said reparations should come with protections. So that's one of the reasons why I said what I said, when I first started. Whether the capitalist ruling class ghoul is red or blue, they don't give a shit about me or you. Absolutely. There's QAnon and there's Blue Anon. Absolutely. Let me see. Wow. Okay. Mutual aid and local DSA, transportation community to help members get around, still working out some logistical hurdles. I wish you the best on that, man, and let me know if I need to tweet out some things, some information for you. Um, I'm doing mutual aid right now by doing a 3 hour shift on our hotline to connect people to resources, cash, and ways to redistribute resources. Thank you. You are doing the work. I appreciate that, QKR Socialist. Uh, Let me see. Love you, Gina. Did I already say that? I hope so. Let me see. Howard Zinn. Dissent is the highest form of patriotism. Yes.